I don't know if my voice got lost in between. Yeah, I've just sent Jay a post. Yeah, there he's joined as the speakers. So what I was talking about is, yeah, that over the last week my view changed. I wrote, we did a long weekend with India charts, 1.5 hour detailed explanation. I'll cover some of the points, and also wrote the long short report for those who like to read. 30 plus charts explaining what is happening, and this is not new for me. We often look at charts and build our narratives. I don't build my narratives and then look at the chart. So I change my narrative if my charts change. Now that can sometimes be a complete U-turn, something that I've been told in the markets we have to do from very early on, and I've built that capability to do it. We can always flip, but to not pay attention to changing things is also dangerous to your investments portfolio and trading. The other thing is that I had to do is also widen the basket of things that you really look at. I mean, we want everything to be simple, but that doesn't mean I can have a single factor model. I know execution for some people can be simple. Let's just look at this indicator, or let's just look at this wave setup and let's just trade, which is fine. But when you've taken up the job of giving a market opinion like I have, and you want to explain why it's happening, what is happening, and you want to build more confidence, that doesn't come there alone. I mean, execution is one thing, but one of our biggest behavioral finance problems is we can't execute if we are not confident. So, how do you really gain confidence that yes, this trade has shifted from buy the dip to sell the rise, and vice versa? And that is what I call complete market analysis. You would have seen that in many parts of my write-ups explanation. If you ever read the about us on India charts, or you read any of my notes, disclaimers, I often write about something known as the complete market analysis. That's what I used to that used to be the tagline before we really said the truth about the markets. And complete market analysis simply meant that it's not just charts. It's got to be macro, it's got to be sentiment, it's got to be data, right? And Strike has become our go-to platform for data, because a lot of the data points, a lot of the sentiment data which nobody plots anywhere, whether it's 20 years of looking at advanced decline data, scrolling through the FII long short positions ever since they were published by the NSE 2012. Being able to do that is something I was doing by manually putting it into Metastock, and so it was not available to any of you. And we started out by making those data points available for on our platform, and then eventually ended up developing a wholesome platform with anything and everything that you might need to navigate the market. So it goes beyond sentiment, and like I said, uh, a confident view comes from a combination of understanding many of these factors and how they change and how they're interacting with each other. So one day I might feel that the interaction is this way, and the next day I may feel that fine, it's not working that way, and I have to change. And if I have to change, I have to change. That's it. We can always change again tomorrow. The inability to change is a behavioral finance problem. And what I mean by behavioral finance is it's a mental block. We block ourselves in the mind that we must think one way and no other way. And if we should stick to it, we should marry it. And if you've ever read any basic investment book, all the way back to the 1980s and 90s, I read the early books 30 years ago, and they've always had this one tagline, right? Don't marry your stocks. Many of you would have read it somewhere or the other. It's been repeated from the old books to the new ones. And how do you really not marry? And if it's not just a stock, it's got to be your market view, your whatever. And that is a mental thing. It's a mental challenge for a lot of people. How can I get out? I have spent the last 6 days trying to tell people was it's time to de-risk, and I know only one person who just blindly listened and went 100% cash. All the others are debating. I can't do this because I need to pay taxes. I can't do this because I just invested last month. There are people who have just started following me on Twitter saying, "अरे यार पिछले महीने तो आप इतना bullish थे, अभी कैसे मंदी में आ सकते हो?" So I had a very simple answer to that. When I'm bullish, I'm equally bullish. I would have been super bullish in Jan, Feb, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. Right, wrong, doesn't matter. I put equal weightage to every view of mine. And similarly, when I'll be bearish, I'll be extremely bearish, and I'll be extremely bearish on every month. So whether if it's now, October, November, December, January, February, jab tak bhi, I will sound like that only, because there is an equal weight. So when you actually convert that into a trade, it means that ये ट्रेड पे भी 10% वेटेज है, अगले ट्रेड पे भी 10% वेटेज है. The question that how confident are you, Rohit, doesn't exist in my life. Uh, Now, of course, now you'll say, sir, you just started by saying that you put complete market analysis to build your confidence. Yes, but in the end, the methodology is going to work an X percentage of the time. So let's say I've built a method that works 70% of the time. There's no such thing as 100%. So somebody comes and expects कि भैया you have to be right all the time. Somebody just tweeted to me half an hour ago, भाई एलियट वेव के थे तो आपको पता क्यों नहीं था? भाई मैं भगवान तो नहीं था ना? एलियट वेव भी भगवान नहीं है. But a combination of things can get you to 70%, it can get you to 80%. 100 is not possible. And whatever percentage you achieve, depending on how good you are, you're still going to be wrong 20-30% of the time. And that is a fact. And so, how are you going to deal with that? That is the really bigger issue. The issue is you don't know when you're going to be right and wrong. If you knew, you'd be God. If you could outguess yourself, then how could you even be wrong, right? So you cannot outguess your own analysis. You can only know that the analysis works a certain percentage of the time. And for it to work for you, you need to be equally confident of each part of your work and each time that you're doing something. And therefore, you will sound with the same confidence. Unfortunately, if I am confident 3 days before a turning point that yes, it is very bullish, and 3 days later I turn, and you don't know what I said for the last 6 months, then to you it will appear that ye to kal hi bol raha tha. And so that is an unfortunate thing of being in social media and in the public space where people have not really looked at your past work and are trying to make judgments. So these are all part of behavioral problems. Following multiple people trying to outguess whether they are right or wrong results in only 35% consumption of the reality. So think about it. I can't go deeper into explaining these philosophies. Uh, you learn them the hard way or the easy way. But I can go around and explain why things changed now and why they were different earlier, what I was looking for, and what happened, which is probably the more important part of the story. So let's get down to that. So it's very simple. There are fundamentals, there's sentiment, okay, which means that if we go back to Jan of 2023, the beginning of this year, it was apparent to a lot of the hedge funds and others who you can find on YouTube and listen to that something has happened where the US economy could eventually go into a recession, because even 1 year ago the narrative was that the Fed wants to move to a higher for longer interest rate regime. Great. So that means it could eventually result in a recession. But the market was not ready. It was not ready for multiple reasons, whether it was the liquidity injections between October and January of last year, or uh, it was also sentiment, right? Everybody turned bearish. So you can look at sentiment data. Like I said, we have a lot of sentiment data for Indian markets on strike. For global markets, you can find it on platforms like TradingView and many other online sites. So if you look at the US PCR, it was at the highest since 2009, and there were many sentiment data points which were highest since 2009. By May of this year, US was short 440,000 contracts, highest in a decade, and 80% of those shorts have been cut. Now the position is down to only 62,000 contracts. So a lot of the shorts have been squeezed in the US already. And so these things are also important part of the market. See, everybody turns bearish. The market can't fall anymore, even though fundamentally things are supposed to weaken. And it takes time. And in the meantime, you got a liquidity injection, right, between October and Jan of last year. So what all of that led to, liquidity plus sentiment led to a rally. And that rally is the time and space in which we try to judge whether something can fundamentally change. And so that judgment leads me to make the bullish statements that, well, if inflation is falling, then maybe bond yields will fall, and we can actually mimic the 1980s. If yields and inflation fall together, stocks should go up. Now, for some time, that did appear to be true, but yields started rising, and there was still room for yields to fall on the back of weakening inflation. Then inflation stops weakening, and so now some of the narratives have changed. You don't have inflation falling anymore. There are some predictions out there that it will get stuck between 3-4% and won't go to zero. And the US, which was not going into a recession, now is actually at the risk of tipping into a recession. Now, how do we know that? So one of the indicators, and Jay was pointing that out to me since last month itself, that sir, the yield curve is still inverted. And I'm like, yeah, but if the stock market is going up, then at this moment, I don't know how long we need to stay on this side of the fence, because you just can't say yield curve is inverted and recession is coming tomorrow and the market rallies 40% in your face. That's no way to trade the markets, and that is why we look at so many factors and have spent years trying to learn and understand how they interact with each other, so that you're not caught on the wrong side of the market. Because having a view and having a narrative is one thing, but being on the right side at the right time is also very, very important. So what happened in the last month is, one, of course, the yield curve started to steepen. So since I think sometime in August, it has slowly turned from being the most inverted to steepening. Now, what does this mean for those of you who are new to the subject? What is a yield curve? First of all, आप बोलोगे कि yield curve ही क्या होता है, तो उसको सिंपल सी भाषा में समझा देता हूँ. 10 साल का जो इंटरेस्ट रेट का दर है, ओके, जो पैसे की गति पे हम लोग भाव लगाते हैं, जिसे हम इंटरेस्ट रेट बोलते हैं, ब्याज का दर बोलिए. ब्याज का दर 10 साल के ऊपर और ब्याज का दर 2 साल के ऊपर, ये दोनों के बीच का जो फर्क है उसको प्लॉट किया जाता है. यूएस के बाजारों में इस इंडिकेटर का 100% स्ट्राइक रेट माना जा रहा है आज की तारीख में रिसेशन को प्रेडिक्ट करने का. तो ये जब स्प्रेड है, ये जब नेगेटिव हो जाता है, नेगेटिव क्यों होता है? 2 साल का जो यील्ड है, ओके, वो बढ़ने लगता है और वो इतना बढ़ जाता है कि वो 10 साल की यील्ड से ज्यादा हो जाता है, विच इज अनयूजुअल, राइट? व्हाई शुड the 2 year yield be higher than the 10 year yield? So it leads to an inversion. इसका मतलब है कि ओवर हीट हो रही है इकोनॉमी, लोग शॉर्ट टर्म बॉन्ड्स खरीदना नहीं चाहते हैं, उसको बेच के शेयर बाजार में लगा रहे हैं, तो बॉन्ड्स के जो भाव है घट गए और यील्ड्स बढ़ गए. सो दिस ओवर हीटिंग ऑफ द मार्केट इज सेंस्ड बाय एन इन्वर्जन. अच्छा, ओवर हीटिंग तो हो गया, घूमेगा कब? घूमेगा जब इंडिकेटर घूमेगा. सो द यील्ड कर्व हैज टू स्टॉप गोइंग नेगेटिव एंड स्टार्ट गोइंग पॉजिटिव अगेन. तो लास्ट 1-1.5 महीने में ये चीज होनी शुरू हो गई है कि द यील्ड कर्व हैज डी इन्वर्टेड, मतलब इट इज नॉट क्रॉस जीरो येट, बट जितना नेगेटिव हो गया था वो घट घट के अभी 150 बेसिस पॉइंट से फर्क जो है वो 40 बेसिस पॉइंट तक आ गया है. और ये इसलिए कि अब अगर आप ट्रेडिंग व्यू पे जाके 2 साल के यील्ड का चार्ट भी खोलेंगे, आप देखेंगे वो फ्लैट है, बढ़ नहीं रहा है. और 10 साल का या 30 साल का खोलेंगे तो देखेंगे बहुत फास्ट बढ़ रहा है. तो नाउ लॉन्ग टर्म यील्ड्स आर गोइंग अप फास्टर देन शॉर्ट टर्म यील्ड्स. अब ये क्यों हो रहा है? क्योंकि जब बाजार के लोग ये सेंस करने लगते हैं कि इकोनॉमिक जो गति है इकोनॉमी की वो जब धीमी हो रही है, तो वो डर के मारे शॉर्ट टर्म बॉन्ड्स खरीदने लगते हैं. तो शॉर्ट टर्म बॉन्ड्स की जो यील्ड्स है वो अब बढ़ना बंद कर देती हैं और लॉन्ग टर्म बॉन्ड्स को बेच देते हैं, उनको रिस्क नहीं लेना है. ओके, तो दिस deviation causes the yield curve to start steepening, start going up. When it starts going up is when actually the damage happens. History shows that when it crosses zero is when you get the recessions. But when it starts steepening, the stock market पहले ही smell कर लेता है, सूंघ लेता है और बाजार उसके पीछे पीछे गिरने लगता है. And this is what you have seen in the last 2 months कि US का बाजार जो धीरे धीरे गिरते जा रहा है, it is simultaneously happening with the steepening in bond yields. तो इस चीज को हम लोग फिर रिकॉग्नाइज करते हैं. अब मुझे पहले लगा कि शायद जो सपोर्ट है, वीकली जो सपोर्ट है, S&P होल्ड कर लेगा या रसेल 2000 होल्ड कर लेगा. पिछले हफ्ते दोनों ने ये लेवल्स तोड़ दिए एंड दैट वाज अ वार्निंग साइन कि शायद इस बार नहीं होल्ड कर रहा है और स्टीपनिंग का जो असर है वो एक्चुअली बाजार पे आने लगा है. एंड साइमल्टेनियसली निफ्टी ने 19,880 नहीं क्रॉस किया. सो दिस इज द लॉजिक behind flipping and saying fine, if something is wrong and if some danger is there, now it is time to recognize that danger, because the market is now signaling that danger is now become present. It is no more a future event कि कल हो सकता है, it is now अभी हो सकता है. And so what do you do in this scenario? You de-risk, you get out of leverage, you get out of excessively moved stocks, overbought stocks जिसकी RSI बहुत ज़्यादा हो गई है, वैल्यूएशन बहुत ज़्यादा हो गए हैं, वो सब चीज़ों से बाहर निकलने का समय आ गया है. नहीं तो उस चीज़ का उस चीज़ की भरपाई आपको करनी पड़ेगी. और क्या है शॉर्ट में? देयर इज नो सिंपल आंसर, बट यू हैव टू पे if you are complacent to the market the price that it asks. So people ask, okay, how much will it be? Will it be 10%? Will it be 20%? My answer is it will be more than you are imagining, and you use your imagination. So if you think 10, it might be 30. If you think 20 is possible, it might be 50. The real question is, are you prepared? And if you're not prepared for a risk in your portfolio, then that risk will happen, and that's it. So it's time to be prepared. How much and what is subjective. It varies with each person's individual appetite, each person's individual portfolio. You cannot have one answer for everybody, but the time to de-risk was and is still there. It's not that okay, एक हफ्ते पहले 8,080 19,800 था, वही समय था। 19,600 पे भी de-risk होता है, 400 पे भी होता है, 200 पे भी होता है, क्योंकि when something like this starts, it cannot be a 1 month affair. It is going to be a 3 month, then 6 month, then 12 month affair, depending on whether the US tips into a recession, right? वही है प्राइमरी कॉल। इसमें क्या है, इंडिया को हम लोग अकेले देखते हैं तो ऐसा लगता है ग्रोथ हो रही है, प्रॉब्लम क्या है, बट पूरे ग्लोबल बाजार के हिसाब से जब उसको नज़र उस पर डालते हैं तो समझ में आता है कि ये जो रिसेशन का रिस्क जो यूएस का यील्ड कर्व सिग्नल कर रहा है, ये अगर सत्य हो गया तो कितना डैमेज अपने को होगा, अपने बाजार को होगा, अपने रुपये को होगा। रुपये का भाव चाहे जितनी तेजी हुई हो पोस्ट पैंडेमिक, जो अमेजिंग चीज़ है कि रुपया का भाव जो है वो स्ट्रांग हो ही नहीं पा रहा है। The dollar continues to strengthen against the rupee even if at a slow pace. The last time the RBI had to sell $100 billion. अच्छा, एक चीज़ ने तो मुझे बहुत ही सरप्राइज करी, ये मोस्ट रिसेंट आरबीआई मीटिंग में आरबीआई ने बोला हम बॉन्ड बेचेंगे। मैं तो कब से स्टोरी गा रहा हूँ कि इंटरेस्ट रेट इंडिया में कम होना चाहिए, आरबीआई कह रहा है मैं बॉन्ड बेचूंगा, और फिर वो कह रहा है कि हम लोग ग्रोथ को सपोर्ट करते हैं। मेरे तो समझ के बाहर हो गया कि वो बोल क्या रहा है और कर क्या रहा है। तो इस प्रोसेस से इंटरेस्ट रेट्स इंडिया में बढ़ने लगे, जो कि बढ़ नहीं रहे थे, कई महीनों से नहीं बढ़ रहे थे, 7.2 7.1 के नीचे ही अटके हुए थे। उसने आके गोली मार दी। अब क्या होगा, अब तो थोड़ा सोच विचार करना पड़ेगा कि हुआ क्या है। और सिमिलरली जो ग्लोबल इंटरेस्ट रेट्स भी दौड़ते जा रहे हैं डिस्पाइट बीइंग ओवरसोल्ड, will they really make a comeback immediately or are they going to take time? Okay, so I would have liked immediate because it is oversold. It is oversold on daily, weekly, monthly, but it is still falling. And then if you look at the wave structure, it doesn't look complete. It looks like something is left. There are still going to be new lows in the bond market, matlab higher rates. And so it's not looking like an easy process anymore as it was looking earlier. And it's better to wait it out now. And all this with respect to, yes, the stock market itself, right? So if as long as our own market was ignoring all these things, I was also ignoring. But now our market is not ignoring, so we cannot ignore. This is how I think about it. And so these risks have become active. The markets are not ignoring them anymore. And therefore, I have shouted out that it's time to be de-risked. So I'll not put numbers, I'll not put data, this is my thought process. And each one as per his own. I can just explain the logic and the thinking. But what you have to prepare for is what if the world goes into a recession, which already it has in part. China का तो हो चुका है, Europe का हो चुका है. US is the last man standing, where many data points have been slowing. You just haven't had the official negative numbers become a recession call yet, but data points one by one have been weakening by the side, and so there are a lot of indications. In fact, one of them is even the unemployment rate has now actually started to rise and moved above one of its moving averages as an early signal that maybe the phase of unemployment rising, something that the Fed was waiting for, has actually come. Okay, so this is it. I think I've sort of theorized what my thinking behind this is. We will take it as a step at a time. If somebody says minimum kya hoga, so then minimum levels are weekly bands near 18,800, or a worst case scenario 61% of 18,100 is 61% of this last rally. But that cannot be your worst case scenario if you have a global recession. Okay, so this is a worst case scenario कि कुछ नहीं हुआ, बच गए हम लोग भैया. But your worst case scenario of a global recession is that all these levels will break, which is, I said, कि whatever you imagine more than that, because you have to be prepared for the worst case scenario as of now. That is how I am thinking about this whole thing. One thing I will shout out again to everybody who's here and who will be listening later on is I spoke about sentiment indicators. They've become critical tools in being able to look at things. Many of these I've only looked at myself, and now they're available on Strike. One of them I've posted maybe today, and I'll just highlight it. It may come in some parts of the media tomorrow. And which is the difference between the total call and put open interest. See, this becomes important when you're very close to expiry. तो when the market fell on Monday, जो expiry था, आप अगर सिर्फ total call open interest versus put open interest देखेंगे, तो call open interest put open interest से ज़्यादा 4,60,000 तिरसठ हजार करोड़ रुपए से, मतलब 4,63,000 crores more calls than puts are outstanding, and this is an all-time high number. So what it really shows is that writers were so confident on Monday that the market will fall कि उन्होंने इतने कॉल बेच दी, और दूसरी तरफ somebody is buying the dip and losing it. So usually if expiry is 3 days away from Monday, Wednesday है, Thursday है कल, so it doesn't really pick up. Now today's data is already out, the number is even higher, it's 4,80,000 crores now. तो इतना जब कॉल राइटिंग हो गया है तो वो तो जीरो होने वाला है, मतलब जिसने भी कॉल लिया है कल के लिए, उसके बाद ओवरसोल्ड होगा क्या, बाउंस होगा क्या, वो फ्राइडे के बाद की बात है. मतलब फ्राइडे के बाद अगर शायद अगले हफ्ते अगर कुछ होना हो, if there is a bounce coming, it may come sometime next week. What will be the size of that bounce and all, we will estimate right in our daily reports. But this is, I think, the near term structure as it goes. I wouldn't be too optimistic about tomorrow, given that there's so much writing already over the last 2 days. Jay, I'll just bring you in case I've left out any important observations. What else you have been observing on the market? You can just speak it out.
So the observations, I mean, like you have highlighted that the US indices and all, they are breaking down. The only thing, and the reason why we are not putting out any specific number is because, last time when the US indices, they fell by 20 to 25% or even 30% in case of Nasdaq. Indian indices barely fell, 12 to 15% or so. Okay, so we don't know whether the US, whether the Indian indices will outperform or equally correct or may even correct more. Okay, so we don't know at this point of time because India में जब भी होता है वो एकदम एक्सट्रीम रहता है एंड वी इफ वी डोंट फॉल फॉर अ मंथ तो वो सब 3-4 दिन में ही मेजर पार्ट ऑफ द डिक्लाइन गेट्स completed. So that is why we are not putting out a number, but there are risks that are involved in the US indices and in the charts that are visible. So until and unless those risks don't subside, we will watch out very closely, and as sir said that we would go level by level, and we'll take each level as it comes, and we'll assess whether we are getting an impulse move or no, or whether the sentiment is getting oversold, and is it coinciding with the Nifty indices or many of the key indices hitting their major support levels or no. So that will probably be the approach, but until and unless we don't get that clear signal, we'll probably be on the sidelines and wait for things to be a lot more clear.
So no, that actually reminds me of October to December 2008, and during that phase, US market had already started to fall, and we were actually outperforming. Every time it was falling, we were falling less, and then we were going up more for some time, for those couple of months. And so I actually started to theorize that finally India is outperforming. We don't care what is happening in the US. And then Jan 2008 happened. So just like you said, it sometimes just happens all of a sudden, and you are not prepared. So if you know that the degree of risk there is at hand, just because we see some short-term outperformance, that doesn't necessarily mean it will stay that way. And so what is more important here is preparation for that risk, and not what particular level that might mean, because that can go anywhere. It can be all over the place.
Right.
So yeah, this is so actually the question, the question that I've asked as part of this space is, I've said bear market or correction, and have you prepared, for a reality check. Now the second part I've already taken care of. You have to prepare. But then, do we call this a bear market, or do we call this a correction in an uptrend? And it's really a question of degree. I mean, If you only do a retracement of this last rally from March, then which means up to 18,100, it is a correction. Okay, but after that, it is not a correction anymore. It becomes a bear market. In fact, moment you break the weekly bands, also 18,800, the risk of calling it a bear market starts to increase. A lot of the sentiment data is not behaving. So now there's another angle. If you actually go and look at sentiment data points, FII positioning, premiums, the put call ratio, all of these should have shifted their ranges from the range bound period of 2021-22 to a higher range like they were before that. 2021, all of these data points were in a higher range, and then they came down. And now, despite this rally to 20,000, we have actually not seen a range shift again in the data. So they are still, the data, the sentiment data is still behaving as if we are in a corrective phase, and not that we have broken out to a new high and in a new bull run. And that has been one glaring factor of how some of these data points have actually behaved. So that's been a botheration for me, because I thought that FII shorts would actually not increase beyond 20,000-30,000 contracts, because that's how it was in the post pandemic rally. And now we were sitting at 80,000-90,000 contracts over the last few days. What is today's number? I'll have to check.
So it is somewhere around 92,000 or so. So the
Okay.
main point is that they are sustaining at 90,000 mark.
Okay, not a big increase despite the last 2 days fall.
Right.
And if I compare it with previous two major levels, it's actually gone to 100 and more than 125,000 contracts, and even till 200,000 contracts. So if I even go to that level, so the other way of looking at it is that you are not oversold till the shorts have really built up to a larger degree. That's another angle. And same in the US, all the shorts are cut. Does that mean on the way down again shorts will get added? And before the US bear market is over, you will again see record short positions in the US, which is exactly how it happened in 2008, by the way. You can, anybody who has CFTC futures data historical can go and check. So that is one kind of pattern that you see. India, we don't actually have FI data before 2012, because NSE only didn't started to release it after 2012. But all the data from 2012 is on strike, and you can actually scan through it and see the behavior at each point of time and make your own inference or judgment based on that. So, yeah, I think if I have to call this something, if I have, so the way I'm preparing for this, let's put it this way. Moment the market started to weaken last week, I am not preparing for a correction to 18,100. I am preparing for a bear market. Okay. If it doesn't happen, fine. But if it does happen, I have to be prepared. And the reason for that is that as human beings, once it's late, most of us will do nothing about it. Meaning that if you have a portfolio and it draws down 20%, chances are you will not sell even after it draws down 80%. Because you will keep feeling, अरे मैंने टॉप पे नहीं बेचा, मेरा स्टॉक डबल हो गया था, मैंने डबल पे नहीं बेचा, और डबल के बाद ऊपर से 10% भी नीचे आता है, आपका 80% प्रॉफिट हो रहा है, तो भी आप नहीं बेचोगे, क्योंकि मैंने वो ऊपर का भाव देख लिया, तो अब मैं बेच नहीं सकता, क्योंकि अब वो ऊपर का भाव मेरा प्रॉफिट है. We forget that we are in a profit. We start counting that loss from the high as a loss, which is notional. You never booked it. So these are all psychological, and that's why it's called behavioral finance. There are various terminologies to explain each of these behavioral traits that we all have, uh, and different names have been given to them. But without getting into the names, you just have to know that it's wrong behavior. The right behavior is, when risk has to be adjusted, it has to be adjusted, and that is the mental training you have to have. You have to have a process. If this happens, this happens, this happens, I will take this action. End of story. उसके बाद you cannot go and question कितना था, अरे मुझे टैक्स भरना पड़ेगा, ये क्या करना पड़ेगा. Okay, why should I book at a loss? It doesn't matter. What matters is what might happen tomorrow, and are you prepared? And so I am prepared for a full blown bear market. If it doesn't happen, great. But if it does, I will not be caught crying. The question is, what are you doing about it? Do you have a plan? Do you know what you will do if US goes into recession or the whole world goes into a recession? Do you think the world goes into a recession and India will post positive growth? Actually, it might. At the end of 2008-9 bear market, India still showed a GDP growth of 7%, but the stock market was down by 80%. So then you go and question why. Why did the GFC have such a negative impact on India when the GDP growth was 7%? So markets can fail all logic because there are many other factors. That's why I said complete market analysis is not about a single data point, growth or GDP. It cannot be a single data point study. It has to be a multiple data point study. You have to go into sentiment, positioning, liquidity, global, domestic, and add it all up and then see where you are in the entire model of things. And then you might have some answer as to what can go right, what can go wrong, and what should you do. And so that is the manifestation of my years of work in studying markets. So I think of it as a complete analysis, fundamentals, technical, sentiment, uh, economic. When you do all that, all these four, and put it together, then your job is done. Otherwise your job is half baked, and your ability to change if these factors change, which is where execution comes in. So it's one thing to know the science of markets, and another thing is to learn how to execute correctly and how to be able to manage your portfolio and your portfolio risk both in good times and bad times. In good times, you don't want to de-risk too much. You want to ride the entire move, which requires a different approach. Okay, and in bad times, you need to de-risk, which requires a different approach. And each approach has to be followed and absorbed. So this is it. Uh, and we have started this session late in the night because I was out earlier in the evening, but I had decided on Monday कि Monday को करूँगा नहीं तो Wednesday को करूँगा. So I made it a point that I do it today. What I will do, since I've already sort of clearly put out my narrative, oh yeah, I'll just say one more thing. Strike still is running free. I think today or tomorrow the futures part. So we have various new segments going live. The fundamental data points have gone live. Those of you who don't know, entire fundamental 20 years of data for all NSE listed stocks is now on Strike, with unique graphs and features which are not there probably on any other platform. So it's not just data. You can plot your choice of balance sheet data points or P&L data points graphically, visually, and take them away. More such screens will go live in the coming days. A lot of things we've thought about in the futures. Similarly, futures and options. The futures will go live first, and the options sometime later this month. So that's the progress. And so as long as we are building these blocks and making it the best platform in this country, I'm sure it is going to be. It already is actually today, according to me. Nothing that we have is available. Many of the things we have are not available anywhere and won't be, because it requires data mining. It requires you to put together some of these data points every day, you know and that most people are not willing to do because it's hard work. Most people want to do it easy. So we are doing it. We are putting together that work, and so that is why we use the opportunity to use it free right now. And then I'm sure you'll get hooked, because once you start using it, it's very addictive. And yeah, so that's my take. So go and do that. uh, Baki, for my views, go read the long short report. And we are going to be doing a long short webinar on Sunday. So that's the last thing for me to announce before I take questions. The webinar should be 9:30 a.m. Sunday. You can register it from Zoom. We have put out the link on Twitter, so you can check that out. So there you can actually see more charts and visuals of what we've really discussed in the long short report as well, and let your friends and colleagues know about this. So I can see requests now piling up, and so I will enable them, and we'll get on by taking questions. And I'm just going by the order in which Twitter is showing me the requests. Okay, so it's random, and we'll take as many as we can till maybe half an hour, and then close. So it's 10:40, which means still around 11:10 or so. So try to be quick with your queues so that I can quickly answer and we can get more questions answered. So let me start doing that by adding speakers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good
go on.
evening. Rohit, I just wanted to ask you. Uh, Actually, I've been following you for a long, long time now, and you have changed your views at some very appropriate times. Matlab, you were bullish last time when everybody was bearish, and now you are again bearish. You have become bearish, but many other people are on the Twitter are already bearish, but you have also changed it. So your views. So I'm now little confident that the things are changing. But now what I want to understand from you is this is based on the Elliott wave principle or based on the data you follow. That is one question. And secondly, when you say now we are going into a deeper bear market, then what does it mean? I mean, what is the say it will last for a 6 months, a year or so? So is it a buy on dips kind of a market? Say if it falls 10%, should we start again our SIPs or something, or we refrain from any investing?
So this is where you'll have to use a little bit of your imagination, but I will try to answer some parts of that. See, because moment you ask me specific advice, should I start SIP? I will not answer because that goes into now a regulatory aspect of the whole thing. So I cannot tell you whether you should buy something, sell something, buy a mutual fund, not buy a fund. But if I tell you it's a bear market, if I tell you that bear market, uh, see, some people say bear market is not confirmed. I'm saying prepare for a bear market. If it doesn't happen, who knows? But I would like to prepare given that the US is signaling a recession. And whenever the US does go into a recession, the S&P typically falls 30% or more. And if that happens, then the Indian markets also can fall even more than that, or an equal amount. And that is the risk you have to protect yourself from. Now, if that risk, whatever that risk means to you for your portfolio, is something you have to decide. Okay, because it is your individual risk appetite, willingness to hold for a 40% drawdown. Some people say stocks always fall 30% and recover. Okay, some people sit through that and then two, three of those stocks die and finish also. So then it comes down to quality of stock. And there's so many sub questions. What type of mid caps you're holding? So I cannot know what you're doing and what kind of actions you're taking. So you'll have to make that judgment call for yourself. What is it that you'll need to do? But if you ask me, if I have to say that, is this a buy on dips market? My simple answer would be, well, I'll not be in a hurry to call the end of this move, because if I say there's a risk of this going into a bear market, then what I'm really saying is pata nahi kya hoga, So can I really judge in advance? I'd rather judge in hindsight.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it was because of the Elliott waves or charts, or because of the data you have come to this conclusion.
it's always a combination of things. Elliott waves does play a role in that. Elliott waves helps us in, see, so one of the things about a wave analysis is, while it is considered predictive in nature, the method of marking waves is actually eliminatory in nature. By eliminatory, I mean we can eliminate that which is not possible versus that which is possible. So, say for example, if I have to eliminate the idea that this can be a bear market rally or not, one of the levels for that was actually 20,000. So we only went around 200 points above 20,000, 20,200, which is not significant enough to say that we've eliminated the possibility altogether. Otherwise, 21, 22 consolidation breakout should have meant that this is a new move runaway, and I was calling it that for a while. But failure to get past 20,000 keeps the risks on the table. So that is what Elliott Waves tells us. All it tells us is that the risks have not gone away. Now I have to prepare. What all can be the possible risk outcomes?
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you. Hirin. Hirin B305. Okay, he's dropped off. Gotham. Okay, Bhav Bhagwan Che. So I see a lot of people who've requested are dropping off. Kaushal,
Hello, sir.
yes.
So actually, I mean, now there's no specific questions, but I mean, the current situation we are not seeing for the first time. I mean, I just joined so 3 years back only in this market or so.
Hmm.
And what I'm wondering within this 3 years also, we have seen. Similar kind of situations again. But the good part was that market has always come up. So yes, the only question remains is that the situation like war or the US yield and all that goes how long or so. So as you rightly mentioned about yes, it could be a situation of some time or so, but eventually Indian market has always come up when we compare across all the economies across the world. We are the good, so certainly our revival part would be the more or so. It is just an observation; it is not a question, sir. But maybe anything you what I mean, if you have any comments on that also, that's it, sir.
So the argument that markets recover can be made for any market. After 2008, US also recovered. But
Correct.
2008-9, some stocks went down 90%, like in banking specifically. So it's all about what drawdowns you are willing to take and the impact that a drawdown has on your portfolio long term. Now, if you feel that it's okay, I don't care about drawdowns, they are part and parcel of the game, no problem. The
Right.
world will never come to an end, even if there is World War II, we have survived. Right? So if you're asking me an existential question, then that is different. The world will not come to an end. But if you're asking, are you? But my question is, you have to question yourself on what drawdown risk you want to deal with.
Yeah, sure, sir. Thanks.
Yeah, Harish, Shubham.
Hi Rohit, just wanted to know your view on dollar index. Can we see a new 52-week high, it's in a bear market?
So I've spent a long time thinking that it is a bear market. Now I'm dealing with that conflict because it has worked out at times. Like in 2017-18, I thought so. It created a very good rally in the metal sector. The same happened again in 2020. But despite that, the dollar seems to always come back. It is doing so right now. It has not surpassed 61% of the fall. So, to that extent, I can still make an argument that the dollar peaked in 2022 and is only going to make a lower high. At the same time, what I've written about in the long short report is that on the quarterly chart, it's actually taken support on the 20 quarter average and bounced back, which on a quarterly chart makes it look like it is still in an uptrend. So I'm dealing with this conflict without a perfect answer. What has happened in the last 3 days, though, is at least in the short term, the dollar has fallen corrective, taken support on the 40-day average, and bounced back to rise again. So, which means that in the near term, it doesn't look like the dollar has topped out yet. Okay, it gave a short term top, pulled back, but it is moving higher again. So, we'll have to give it some more time. But is it still inside a bear market from the high it made at 114.15 a year ago? I think if it surpasses 61.8%, I would significantly reduce that possibility. So I think 61, see, 50% was 107. We are almost close to getting past that. Once we close that, I'll have to check what is the exact number for 61% retracement overall. But that would be the point at which we probably discard the bear market thesis. But right now, I'm keeping both possibilities open. But near term, looking more that the dollar can still rise, and so there is still that risk on the table.
So do you think there are more possibility of rate hikes?
Yeah, that's a valid question. I would have thought no, but what happens with the Fed is that it tends to follow the bond market. Now, this time around, the bond market has been behind the Fed. The Fed has raised rates faster than the bond market. Usually, the Fed raises rates only after the bond market falls. So because of this gap, I think they have some time to think about this question. But if bond yields go way above the Fed funds rate, the Fed will raise rates. Right now, we are not there yet. So, right now, very near term, I would think nothing will happen. In the current meeting, if you say they'll probably not raise rates.
Okay, and my final question: how about rate cuts?
Not till sometime in 2024.
Because as of now, the market was pricing some 2 or 3 cuts starting as early as H2 24.
Yeah. So, H2 24 is a long way, right? It's like 9 months away.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you so much.
Chirag.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, sir. My question is regarding a US 20 plus year treasury yield. What are the indicators looking for that when that yield will come down?
So, uh, one of the factors, of course, is inflation itself. And the Fed has chosen to look at something known as the core PCE number, not PPI, not WPI. So PPI numbers have almost gone to zero. Okay, but core PCE is stuck at plus or minus 4%, and so as long as it is stuck over there, they're going to keep rates steady till they see it cool off. So that is going to be the main point from the Fed's angle, and so bond yields also are tending to rise on the back of that. The other factor which affects bond yields directly is the US borrowing. So, you've heard about the debt ceiling. More recently, they were talking about a US shutdown at the end of September. What all this is that now that they have said no debt ceiling and no shutdown, it means that the US is going to borrow and spend another trillion dollars for the year. And they need to service that in terms of interest and new bond issuances. So, if they're going to issue new bonds, the question is who's going to buy them. And that is sort of causing the selling in the bond market. The third angle is purely geopolitical, wherein the war with Russia, the war with Ukraine, or China's issues with US on various imports and other issues is leading to sales of bonds. Some of the biggest holders were Russia, China. Russia has reduced its holding significantly. China keeps doing that from time to time. So these pressure points that are self-created, in the geopolitical space, are also adding to the pressure on the bond market. But the U.S. Treasury's borrowing program itself is one big one that is there apart from just inflation.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sunny Pariani.
So, can you please give your views on gold, silver, and any sector where we can hide or we can build position?
Well, the only sector to hide, typically we think of defensives, but severe bear markets, everything goes down. So we've hardly seen something get saved defensively. When the Y2K bubble popped, there's only one stock I remember that probably didn't fall at all throughout that bear market, and that was HDFC Bank. It cannot be true every time. That was a different period of time. Right now, the opposite is true for HDFC. It's the only stock not performing on the way upside. So, will there be that one stock which will hold out? We don't know which one that will be. But in a severe bear market, we've seen every sector go down historically, whether it's '08, 2000, or even the pandemic. So there's usually no place to hide in a severe bear market. If it's not a severe bear market, then it would be easier. You can always find a relative outperformance stock. And one of the best ways now to do it is if you simply go to Strike and do a heat map, a dated heat map, from one date to another. Between these dates, when the market is down or up, what sector or stock is outperforming, you can very quickly find out where the performance is and allocate accordingly. But that all true and that all works as long as you're not in a severe bear market. So the risk I'm highlighting now is what if you enter a severe bear market, and if you do, then there is no place to hide.
And, sir, what are your views on gold and silver?
See, for Indian investors, they remain the holy grail simply because when the dollar falls, gold goes up in dollar terms. When the dollar rises, then USDNR goes up and gold goes up in rupee terms. So net, the drawdowns in rupee terms are usually less, and therefore it's a very good diversification for Indian investors to have in such a phase. And that is a proper asset diversification, right? If you try to diversify within equity, like I said earlier, all equities go down, you don't get a diversification. Gold is a good diversification because it's a currency hedge along with anything else. So I broadly looking at the chart, like I posted a chart, I think 10 days ago, it's on Twitter also, that both these gold and silver, when they had fallen very sharply, they were below their 20-month averages. But now intra-month they have recovered, and you can watch for the next 3-4 days once the month is over. If we manage to close above the 20-month average, it would be a very good sign that you're saved in a very important support. And so that would signal that the larger trend is still intact for gold and silver. But I would have a preference towards gold because historically we've seen silver sometimes ends up behaving like a commercial metal, okay, and gold still behaves like a precious metal. We saw that even in COVID, right? COVID, gold didn't fall that much. Silver just broke the previous quarterly lows also. So that is where if I have a preference between the two, it will be gold. So silver can surprise sometimes by breaking away from the gold price, and that's something that I cannot really acknowledge.
Thank you, sir.
Ashok Nyadish.
Good evening, Rohit.
Good evening.
See, everything was going well. Only I think the war, and only war is causing such a turmoil.
No, I'm not giving the war so much importance. Even after the Israeli attacks, the Nifty managed to bounce back slightly higher. I think war. See, when we talk of war, it also goes into social theory and socionomics, which is a very detailed study that Proctor did on such events. Is that such events actually follow wave C of bear markets? Okay, wars, any kind of disturbance, social unrest, all of these things tend to happen when wave C of a bear market actually starts. And so it may be an outcome of an already worsening social mood since the peak that we've seen this year in July. And therefore, it's more a result rather than a cause. But definitely, it will continue to haunt us for some time. But the real issue, I think, is U.S. economy slowing down and going to a recession. I think that is a bigger factor right now in my head. Whatever the cause of that recession may be, whether it ends up being just the high interest rates or whether it ends up being war, uh, whatever the reason.
I mean, we are actually, he thinks that we are heading for a third World War kind of situation.
Yeah, I cannot really predict that. So that is what it is.
Okay, thank you.
Kamini. Kamini Roy. Milind Kolhatkar.
Yeah, hi Rohit. My question
Hi.
is about the US Fed action. They were stubborn earlier saying that inflation is transitory, and now they are saying it should go to 2%. But with the recession on the horizon, what is the chance that they pivot again to the surprise of the market?
So there are two angles to this. One is that if inflation data was really cooling off and they were cutting rates, then definitely it would be bonds rallying and stocks rallying together. Something that I was harping about a month or two ago. But now the situation is that if you tip into a recession and you start getting rate cuts, history shows that the first rate cut doesn't have an impact. if you just see 2000 or 2008, it takes at least up to 6 rate cuts before the market or the economy even starts to turn. So that's like a long drawn process. Imagine they cut rates 25 basis points tomorrow. Does that mean that we are done? Probably not, because once you've significantly slowed things down and people are firing people, and then there's a recessionary cycle and unemployment is going up, a 25 basis points cut doesn't do enough. Now, will they be so aggressive that they will cut 300 basis points overnight and start doing QE? That's a different ball game. Okay. But right after an inflationary cycle, you think they are going to go into hyper printing mode. So it's a very, very tough call. We can imagine all these things, but the economic gravity doesn't suggest that you will move that in that direction. Forget economic, even the political gravity. So, uh, so I think we just take it one step at a time.
Yeah, and just a follow-up question. So we always talk about 2-year and 10-year spread, and it was inverted, and now it is getting steepened, etc. Now, this is something known to the Fed also. In a sense, they also watch it possibly.
Yeah.
So if the data is not showing recession as yet because the US economy is still strong, but the spread is inverted and now steepening, etc. So the Fed also knows that this could be a possible recession signal, and the rate changes always have a lag. So is it, as in, won't they act right? Are they, if the market is so smart, then are they so stupid?
I know what you're getting at, but all we have in our hand is market signals, right? So we try to think that way. We all know that, oh, yes, there's so much US credit outstanding, they cannot really raise rates. But as of now, they are still signaling higher for longer. So if you ask someone like me who's been waiting for them to move in that direction, that well, a lot of people didn't expect them to even raise rates and keep them where they are right now, simply because of all the borrowing that they have to do. Fact is, they have already done it, and so it's bizarre, if 1 year ago a lot of people would not have even imagined that this was possible. So that is why I really don't know if I can, if we can keep thinking that way, because if it had to happen, it should have happened. And the fact, if they're not taking actions in that direction, then we have to think about the alternate.
Yeah, thanks for it.
Thank you. Shivapak Kaloli. Okay. Paresh 6972.
Hello.
Yeah, hi Rohit.
Rohit,
Yeah, hi.
So my question is that you have talked about the U.S. recession being as one of the key factors which is making you prepare for the bear market,
Yeah.
and you don't see much possibility of a QE or a rate cut to stimulate their economy given the overall macro scenario. Now that is the external part. So the two questions. One is that in case there is slowdown in the world economy, uh, crude should come down logically, right? So how good is that for India? And secondly, there is this wall of money, which people love to call it, 16,000 crores of mutual fund SIPs every month. So how will that affect, how will that play out? You think that will stop? Or if this continues, how will it hold up the markets? Or will it not? Thank you.
So you've asked me one question which is related to SIP flows.
Yeah, that was the main question actually. I mean, how do you see the SIP flows and their effect on the market panning out?
So see, when it comes to liquidity, so I try to explain this in a very simplistic fashion. we often think that there is one driving force in the market, but for every buyer there is a seller. So if anybody who's dealt in real estate should be able to imagine that real estate prices don't move in real time, like they go from deal to deal, but it is still a market, right? So when you're doing one deal, a buyer and seller, there's a bid and an ask, and then you decide, okay, this is the correct rate, and then you do a transaction. So finally, that value that you put on the property is your perception versus his perception, that determines it. The only difference in the stock market is that same process is going on, but at lightning speed. There are different people buying and selling. So if DIs are buying or SIPs are coming in, for every SIP rupee coming in, there's a seller on the other side. Today, that seller is an FII. Yesterday, the FII could have been a buyer and the DI could have been a seller. So whoever is the buyer or seller doesn't matter. It's the perception of price that finally drives the prices higher or lower. If you perceive that this is worth more, you drive the prices higher. And if you perceive that it is worth less, you drive the prices lower. And so it doesn't really matter if SIP flows are there and can they save the market. It's theoretical. What if FII outflows are there? You know that in the month of both August and September, and now I think almost in October, the net FII cash market flows have been running in thousands of crores. And with that kind of number, uh, why are we giving only one side of the equation importance? Right? So if I just take monthly data, okay, monthly data is 20,000 crores outflow for August, 26,000 crores outflow for September, 19,166 out crores so far for October. Okay. Now, if I switch that to DII, what is a similar number for the last 3 months? 25,000 crores for DII buying, 20,000 crores for September, 19,700 crore for October. So here you have it an almost equal equation between the two, one buyer and one seller. Who was the driver of the market? So if the market falls, you will say FII बेच रहा है इसलिए गिर रहा है. Market goes up, you will say DII खरीद रहा है इसलिए ऊपर जा रहा है. You want a justification. Human mind wants to justify everything. So we'll justify. But is that a correct justification?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but I get what you're saying. My question was that, many of these SIPs, they're automated. People are not really thinking. They're going about their jobs. They're just put an SIP, and many of them are not even reviewing it. So it's a sort of, it's not a call on the market. It just keeps coming in. So that's the reason I was asking. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, my real point is it can go both ways. You can have a market fall 50% with SIPs coming in.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden they're stuck, and maybe at some point they'll get scared and stop putting SIP. So that we'll only know in hindsight. Like I'll give you an opposite thing, that when 2000 Y2K bubble popped, FII flows in India used to be barely few hundred, 500 crores a month and so on. During that bear market, it jumped to 3,000 in May of 2000. It jumped to 3,000 crores for that month. It was the highest ever. It was a huge amount, but the market still crashed. It didn't matter that they were bringing in 3,000 crores for that particular month.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Right.
I mean, flows are nice. They help us make narratives. Even I talk about it sometimes, but the real logic is not there actually.
Yeah, you mean to say they might end up buying at lower prices? That's all.
Yeah.
Okay, and the related question was on the crude. I mean, I of course, when the economy
Oil.
falls,
So yeah, I'll tell you, oil prices. What you're saying is, if they come down, is it good for India? I mean, see, that's again a
the
mix of
economy. I didn't mean for the market. Sorry, I meant for the economy.
yeah, but see, so there are two completely different things. I mean,
Yeah.
low oil prices means cost of things come down. Okay, good. Economy meaning, if I think about current account deficit, okay, or trade deficit, fine. I need to import less oil, or at less. Yeah, I need to spend less on importing that oil, not less oil, but importing less. So that is one side of the equation. The other side is, what do low oil prices really mean? It also means that demand is gone.
Hmm.
So it is an actual economic indicator that if prices are coming down for oil, that means you don't have enough demand for the existing oil. And if demand is low, then is the economy really doing well? So finally, if you put an oil price and you put a Nifty on top of each other, you will find that when oil prices are down, Nifty is also down.
Right.
And
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, so therefore there is more a direct economic correlation because oil actually reflects demand and supply. It's only at the only point where oil becomes a problem is when it moves up very fast rather than slowly. And when does it move very fast? When there is a external event like a geopolitical one, as we are getting right now, or what happened when Russia and Ukraine happened, and then oil shot up to 135 and the market sold off. Those kind of events have a immediate impact. But when it's a slow and steady move, then usually it's related to demand, supply, and economy, which is not always negative.
Right. Is there any, and just a small question, is there any sector at all which you would say that it could still overperform, outperform even in the downside?
So this question I had some time back. The simple answer is that if this is a correction inside a bull market, yes, there would be sectors, and the sectors would be those which are relatively outperforming. But if this does translate into a bear market because the US goes into a recession or something like that, then usually there is no place to hide. And then your alternate sector is not a sector, but it will have to be an alternate asset class like gold.
Right. Thank you.
Rohit, can I come in?
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, Rohit, there are two questions of mine. See, at what point of time it will be you will confirm from and it will be a confirmation that we are going into a bear market, and not the and this is not a normal correction in a bull market. And point two, if as you are saying, US will go into recession, then already the IT sector itself is going on a they're not receiving the order flow is getting slowing down. So what will be more impact on on IT sector specifically?
I mean, I think the answer is obvious. I mean, if the world slows down, the IT sector has the most direct impact.
Hello. And the
Yeah, yeah,
second question,
yeah.
yeah,
Go.
and what time you will confirm that this will be going into a bear market and not this is a correction? I mean, what at what level you will say that yes, this is a confirmed bear market?
Possibly one such level is going to be 18,100, where we will increase the probability. Okay. The second one, where the probability will increase more significantly, should be at around, I'll tell you, it will be much lower. If you see the difference between confirmed and judgmental is, so it'll be at around say 17,980.
So it is a 900 to 18,100
Yeah,
closing on the closing basis. You are saying.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, sir. May I come in?
Yeah.
So, being 2024 being an election year, so U.S. government will try to do something or another to postpone the recession or like evade the recession, right? So, what are the factors we need to look at? The bear market thesis is not working or not?
If all the highs are surpassed.
Okay. So one more question. So considering this is going to be like 12 months, 16 months or 18 months bear market. So we will be definitely getting some kind of rally in between, right? So for the last 3 months, August, September and October, we had been like red closing for most of the US indices, right? So what kind of rally we can expect in between? Like 10%, 15% kind of rallies we can expect?
Yeah, they do happen. When they happen is the big question. You typically get these 50% retracement rallies somewhere in between.
So suppose if Indian FIs are like 2 lakh contract shorts on Indian market, we can expect a rally of like 10%, 15%.
See, I always combine the positioning with my wave structure. But yeah, if the wave structure supports the idea that yes, a fall, one leg of the fall is complete, and you have a setup where the positioning is short, then yes, the answer would be yes at that point of time.
So ideal bear market will be somewhere around 16 to 18 months or more than that, sir?
Yeah, that is usually the case. 15 to 18 months is correct.
Thank you.
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Yeah.
May I come in?
Yeah.
Sir, I have a personal question to ask that I've been clearing this NISM exam and I'm planning for this CFT exam. But I'm a little confused. What is the use of it? How should I get a SEBI license? What is the process? What is the use of these certificates which I'm collecting?
No, but why are you collecting these certificates?
Sir, I have nothing to do at home, so I'm doing this.
You asked a very tough question to me. Because see, everything is with a purpose. If you're giving an RIA exam, it is because you want to become an advisor. If you're giving NISM exams, depends on which NISM exam. There's an NISM exam for research analyst. There is an NISM exam to become a mutual
I've
fund advisor.
just
There is an NISM exam to learn derivatives. So there are different exams for different purposes. There are
sir,
dealer exams. There are
I'll tell you, sir, what my plan is. I've cleared that equity derivative. Now I'm going for CFT. After that, I'll clear that portfolio manager and research analyst.
okay.
The 4 or 5 certificates, that is, I'm just doing for fun. But what I was thinking that how should I use it? What is the use of it?
Use of it is that if you're looking for a job in that particular field, I mean, if you give a research analyst and portfolio management exam, are you looking at getting a job as a research analyst?
No, initially I gave that equity derivative exam because I read that it is the toughest exam in NSM series. So I gave that, I cleared that. So now there is no fun. But what is the use of equity derivative certificate? Now I'm searching and I'm finding that it is of no use. I'm just curious to know, is there any use of this equity derivative certificate?
So there used to be one use very long back, and it may still be true, that when you actually get a broking terminal, then these certificates have to be submitted to the exchange.
You mean to say if I have my own broking terminal, stockbroker's license, you mean to say?
If you get a sub broking terminal, the number of terminals you have, say, so for example, you're a sub broker, you say you want 5 NSE terminals for 5 dealers to sit. For every terminal you need one certificate.
Okay, for and how much money can be managed in one terminal?
I know that depends on how much margin you keep with the exchange. It has nothing to do with the certificate.
Yeah, I mean to say, okay. And sir, how to get the SEBI's license? What exam should I pass?
For becoming a sub broker?
But I don't know how many licenses. There are 35 licenses which SEBI gives. Investment advisor license, I mean.
Yes, but what you want to do, if you want to become an investment advisor, if you want to give advice to other people, then you give investment advisory license.
Oh, for
If you want to write research reports with a buy recommendation, sell recommendation, you want to write a report and send to people and want to charge people money for that report, then you take a research analyst regulation exam.
And sir, which exam should I give for investment advisor's license?
There is an exam for investment advisor.
Specifically for this?
Yeah.
And there is no use of CFT in India?
Not really, not from a regulatory perspective. CFT and all is maybe used. I mean, see, nobody asks for it. Okay, but that is if you want to become a technical analyst, you want to study charts and you want to write about charts, and you do CFT. It may look nice on your resume, but nobody really asks it as a prerequisite as of today.
And so one more, how much money do a person need to start a prop desk, and what are the legalities of it in short, if you want to comment?
I don't know. I have not run a prop desk, but so I can't talk about legality. money is really depends on size. You can do with a 2 crore also, you can do with a 10 crore also.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Wait, sir, can I come in?
Hmm.
Yeah. So my question was, what is your view on crypto as a whole, seeing this scenario unfold? As with gold in such situations, the digital
You're
gold
saying
Bitcoin also.
crypto?
Yeah, Bitcoin, I mean.
Bitcoin is a tricky space because cryptos sometimes, usually in my mind, they go up based on the dollar. Okay. Now recently they have jumped up a lot, even though the dollar has been flat. So technically, the whole thing looks nice. Should be traded technically only. But there is a strong correlation with dollar. So when the dollar goes up, I don't know how long Bitcoin will go up. So it's slightly tricky. I'm not very comfortable with that space.
Okay. My question was that in such situations, when all the equities are getting hit in kind of bear market, when people are looking for some kind of commodity investment along with gold, the digital good, does
See,
Bitcoin look?
gold at least we know. Gold at least we know as a commodity. क्रिप्टो का तो कोई भगवान नहीं है. कल गवर्नमेंट बोल देगा कि ये सब टेररिस्ट यूज करते हैं, इसे बंद करो, खत्म हो गया आपका क्रिप्टो. So when it is such a unregulated and unspecified space, and the only reason they are not stopping it is because people like I shouldn't say you, but in general, people are randomly just putting their money there, that they are not shutting it down. Because if they shut it down, everybody will lose money. So ठीक है, खेलो. But the day they get angry, they feel कि नहीं, this is not good for society, they will shut it down. Then what will you do?
But sir, then the BlackRock and all such organizations entering it.
तो ठीक है यार. I don't know anything about crypto. I just look at the chart and write about it. But if you ask me fundamentals of crypto, मुझे zero पता है. I'm the wrong person to ask about cryptos. Gold is a good hedge in a bad market. Crypto, I have no idea. Good evening, Sharadji. How are you doing?
Very well. I can ask few questions.
Yes, you can, absolutely.
Because everybody is asking various questions.
I know.
How would old Hindi movies do as investment?
Old Hindi movies. Uh,
what would be the effect of 10-year yield on the movie business over here?
It's a tough question, but I can say old Hindi movies, for some reason, have been a depreciating asset. Unlike paintings whose value goes up over time, movies' value doesn't go up over time.
No,
It
the
tends to
point
go
I'm
down.
trying to make is, what are we talking and what are we discussing? We don't know ABCD of anything. What's happening there? काम का बात करने का. और ये सब लोग बोलते हैं bear market, bull market.
Yeah.
Results are so bloody dirty.
Yeah.
तो काय का अगर वॉर भी नहीं होता ना, तो घट जाता था. ऐसा रिजल्ट पे 50, 60, 70, 80 का अभी कैसे हो सकता है यार? ये बावलापन है. ये 2-3 साल में जो लोग आया ना नया, उनको लगता है मंदी हो ही नहीं सकता है, और मंदी होता है तो वो खोटा होता है. इंडियन मार्केट कभी नीचे ही नहीं जा सकता है. अभी ऐसा स्टेटमेंट करता है, कैसा चलेगा भाई? तुम इक्विटी विल बी वैल्यूड एज पर द फंडामेंटल्स इन द लॉन्ग रन. ये आज टेक महिंद्रा का रिजल्ट आया. इट इज अ निफ्टी 50 स्टॉक. तो ये 300-400 होने को कौन अटकाएगा? 4% मार्जिन है. तो अभी वो आप भी बोलते 19,880 हुआ, ये हुआ, वो हुआ. अरे कुछ नहीं हुआ, वॉर भी नहीं हुआ, रिजल्ट ही बोगस है सब। HDFC बैंक ये वो सब, एक्सिस का माँ बोगस रिजल्ट। तो इन्फोसिस बोगस, TCS बोगस। तो निफ्टी इज ऑफ ऑल द शेयर्स। तो वो घटना ही है, रीजन है, वॉर है। 10 ईयर 5% हो गया। अरे 5% अपने को क्या लेना देना है। और लास्ट दो बात है, मेरे को लगता है ये डॉलर रुपी बहुत ऊंचा जाएगा।
या
द मोमेंट इट ब्रेक्स 84.5, 99 इज ऑन द कार्ड्स। और रोहित भाई, डोंट बी सरप्राइज्ड इफ यू ट्रांसफर मनी अंडर આપણે LRS,
या
so you have to pay 20% tax, so it works out to 101 rupees. तो वो रेट तो आएगा ही, पक्का आएगा। डिमोन के टाइम में वो गोल्ड 30-31 हजार था, 32 हजार। लोगों ने 50 हजार में लिया, 60 हजार में लिया, तो आया वो भाव। So the rates have a very dirty habit of reaching. Now, lastly, I constantly believe that in February 2016, Nifty made a low of 6825 और उधर से 20,000 समथिंग हुआ। It was only a corrective move aided by depreciation of rupee and various other factors. The earnings of the company have not gone up. Only thing is that the income tax has been reduced from 33 to 25%. So on the whole, वो 68 का 20,000, तो 13,000 उसका आधा या 61%, वो आएगा, वापस आएगा। With this kind of results, any sensible person will get out of equity. वो 2 साल 5 साल मेरा भाव आएगा, वो कुछ आने वाला नहीं है। वो Unitech was a nifty stock, JP Associate was a nifty stock, Suzlon, वो सब आता नहीं है। ये पोलीकैब है, 200 हो जाएगा। हर तेजी में कोई नया बबल आता है, आप लोग बच के रहना, मर जाओगे। एंड डोंट बी इन अ रश कि नहीं कुछ तो लेना ही चाहिए। नहीं भाई, stocks are not an essential commodity. It's not bread और रोटी कि आपको चाहिए। मत लो ना वो थोड़ा टाइम के लिए। और आज तो रोहित भाई ने भी बोल दिया मंदी है। ये हम तो 2 साल से बोलते हैं मंदी है, लेकिन रोहित भाई का कैलकुलेशन के हिसाब से बराबर होता है, अपने तो अंगूठा छाप है। बट प्लीज डोंट बाय any stock just because it is available at 50% discount or 60% discount. That's it, Rohit bhai. Thank you.
या थैंक्स शरद जी। प्रहलाद,
Hello, sir. Yeah, thanks for the space. Really interesting. Actually, sir, I'm looking. So what I understand is the bear market has started, as per what you're saying. So how to save ourselves? What I'm thinking is to move from small cap to large cap, to more maybe little gold or liquid funds, something like that. So I just wanted to check how to save. I mean, minimize the losses and maximize the returns. My tenure is like 10 years. So next 1.5 year, how do I invest? I mean, portfolio.
but
Back
yeah,
and forth.
see again now. Sometime back, I've had this question about this sector or that sector, and the answer is in a bear market. Okay, if you get a bear market, okay, then there is no place to hide. आप मिड कैप से लार्ज कैप में जाओगे तो ऐसा नहीं है कि लार्ज कैप विल नॉट फॉल। यू कैन ओनली से ओके दिस विल फॉल लेस, इट्स नॉट गोइंग टू गो अप। सो यू कैन ओनली ट्राई टू लिमिट योर ड्रॉ डाउन कि चलो मिड कैप 70% गिरेगा तो मेरा लार्ज कैप जो है 50% गिरेगा। That's the only difference you can make. So why would you be in a hurry to do anything? Rather create cash and wait for there to be blood on the streets, right? The very old saying is buy when there is blood on the streets. Where is the blood right now?
Sir, but they also say it's a falling knife. No, but when do I re-enter? Matlab, my question is like, when do I
When
know
this
that
when sentiment reaches an extreme. So I've spoken about sentiment now, and I've also spoken that unfortunately sentiment data earlier would not be available, but we've kept it on record for long, and now it is available. Available where? On our Strike platform. So something you'll have to spend some time doing is learning to read sentiment data. What is the positioning, FIIs, DIIs, put call ratio, etc. What all that tells you is when you have reached that extreme, the very question you're answering, ki falling knife kahan pe rukega? I don't do it by magic. I mean, you can go back and check if I was sounding very bullish at March 2023's lows at what was it, 16,800. It's a combination of factors. If you read the long short report I've written, then it includes the 1,97,000 contract short by FIIs, but simultaneously on the other end, DIIs being the longest since their history and data available. So you have this kind of extreme things which suddenly happen. Or you had Nifty premiums in December of last year suddenly shoot up to 200 points, which was the highest, and the next 3 months the market is falling. So you look for these kind of data points, which then support your idea of when you catch a falling knife and when you don't. So to believe that you can't do that and therefore let us buy at any level is not correct, because the science and knowledge is incomplete.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Nihar Atal. Nihar?
Yes, sir. I just asked my question on that.
Oh, okay. You did. Varun? Okay.
Sir, I just asked my question some time back.
Okay. Because so I need to change the speaker lists. Badal?
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Yeah.
So my question was regarding the VIX. As per many analysts, they all say that whenever the VIX is at the lower level, you have to just empty your demat and sit with the cash in your hand and wait for the appropriate level for the market and for the correction and all. So as the topic is bear market or a correction, so I just wanted to ask that why is VIX not going up even if the market has corrected almost about 5%? And where we can think that the market has completed the correction after what level, like upside which level, that we can think that the market has ended the correction and market is not going into a bear market.
Based on VIX, right?
Yes, sir. Right.
Okay. So I'll give you the extreme levels of VIX.
Yes, sir.
You will also find the chart of that if you go to India charts under, I think, either intermarket analysis or some segment. 1 second. See, the India VIX, typically at market highs reaches close to an 8-9% kind of range. But of course, that doesn't mean the moment it reaches there, things turn. Sometimes it can take time. So, for example, the India VIX was at 8-9% since the month of, I think, June, July itself. But the final reversal has only happened in September, October. So, it took some time. Now, you're asking the reverse. At the bottoms, what would be the case? Now, there are two ranges. One is that we've seen the VIX top out many times close to around 35%. Okay. But on a few occasions, it has gone beyond that all the way to around 85%. So 85% was reached in 2008. That was a severe bear market. And 85% was also reached at the bottom of COVID 2020. Okay, so extreme bear markets, you end up over there. But many of the interim corrections which happened in 2011, 2014, 2019, and even this year when we went to 15,200, the VIX had crossed 30% and came close to 35, so somewhere in that range.
But sir, I just wanted to ask, like even the market has given a correction of 5%, but still we are not seeing any spike in the VIX.
Which
like
means,
at least it should be.
Which means?
That is what I want to ask you. So what does this mean? Like
It
even we are
means
going for more correction,
it means दिल्ली दूर है.
दिल्ली दूर है, मतलब करेक्शन बड़ा हो सकता है.
Yeah, the market has not panicked yet. You see, people like somebody came in the beginning saying कि सर आप आज अभी बोल रहे हो मंदी है, कई लोग पहले से मंदी में थे. अगर पूरी दुनिया मंदी में थी तो पैनिक किधर है? विक्स 8 पे क्या कर रहा है?
बराबर.
So पैनिक तो
So
तब होगा जब विक्स 30 होएगा.
yes, right. So still there is no fear in the market, and many people are still hoping that market might go up still.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes. So thank you very much, sir.
Wait, I can button
Yes, please do.
this India VIX is calculated, or any VIX is calculated based on the option premium.
Yeah.
In India, the option writers are so bloody stupid. They are haphazard. They don't follow any rules. They just want to pick 2 rupees, 1 rupee, and all that. That is why you feel that the VIX is very low. But in fact, if you see the at the money options, the VIX is very high. So it's a misnomer if you look at the whole number published by NSE, because it captures option written by stupid people. That's the answer. VIX is very high in India. I I play a lot of options, stock options. They are high. Who says
Yeah.
it's low?
Yeah. In stock options, you're right. Stock options, it is high.
No,
I
but
think I
Rohit bhai,
think I'm not
Rohit,
sure whether the Nifty, this VIX is only including Nifty. Is it? That I don't know. I'll have to check.
no, I also don't know. But suppose if you take Nifty
Hmm.
straddle,
Yeah.
it is almost $600. Yeah, that's too much.
Hmm.
कौन बोला विक्स कम है? 600 रुपया स्ट्रेडल है नवंबर का.
Hmm.
तो कौन
But
बोलता है ये सस्ता है भाई?
but 600 रुपये at a 19,800 ना तो कितना?
Yes. So
हाँ. परसेंटेज वाइज कितना होता है? 19,600 से बोलो.
तीन
3%. हाँ.
हाँ, तो कम है क्या?
Hmm.
So, so the whole, see, I will tell you, last month, or sorry, in September,
Hmm.
अक्टूबर में एक जन का मैं करता हूँ स्ट्रेडल राइटिंग.
Hmm.
मेरे को 510 मिला था.
Hmm.
आज क्या भाव है? 19,100 है.
Yeah.
वो अभी भी 110 रुपया प्रॉफिट में है, लेकिन उसने तो बहुत कुछ कर लिया. So don't think this VIX is low. It's a misnomer. वो ये जो VIX गिनता है ना, उसमें सब ऊपर नीचे का ऑप्शन आ जाता है. वो तो 4 आना 8 आना रहता है.
Hmm.
But look at the money. At the money देखो और judge for yourself.
Hmm.
They are too high. तू
That's a very
लेगा पैसा
interesting.
नहीं. हाँ.
It's an interesting thought. So just to tell people, what I used to do before India VIX was actually available, when the VIX was not available, I used to calculate exactly what you said, the at the money options volatility on a daily basis on an Excel sheet using an options calculator. So therefore, you are looking at the most liquid at the money call option and put option, and then looking at what is the volatility of that. एंड वंस विक स्टार्टेड कमिंग देन धीरे धीरे वो अपना खुद का लिखना बंद कर दिया, लेजी हो गए. बट आपकी बात सच है कि इसमें और इसमें ये डेटा पॉइंट जिस तरह वॉलेटाइल होता है, भी दिन दिन में एक ही दिन में वो 8% भी दिख रहा है और 12% भी दिख रहा है, विच इज वेरी अनयूजुअल एक्चुअली. इट शुडंट
नहीं
हैपन.
नहीं नहीं, लेकिन लास्ट एक्सपायरी हुआ था 19,523 पे,
या
और 500 का लिखा 510 में. आज एक दिन बाकी है टुमारो. ओके.
या
और वो तो स्क्वायर अप उसने 4 दिन पहले ही कर दिया था 350 में. तो हाउ इट इज लो यार. कौन बेवकूफ बोलता है कि वोलेटिलिटी इंडेक्स, हाँ यस यू आर 100% राइट कि इंडेक्स शोज कि ये वोलेटिलिटी लो है। अरे नहीं है यार, बहुत महंगा है अपना इंडिया में ऑप्शन। वो आप 1-2 रुपया का देखते हो, इसके लिए लगता है सस्ता है। So if you look at the money and judge anything, Indian options are damn expensive. The most cheapest options are in US. Okay.
Yeah.
And there the VIX is showing 20 or 21. And here the options are most expensive. It's showing whatever 10 or 11. See, the best thing is don't look at such numbers. They are not helping you in any way. Look at absolute numbers only and decide for yourself.
Sir, just one more question to both of you.
Yeah, go on.
Sir, I just wanted to ask, do you both really feel that because of this weekly options expiry, market is getting more manipulated?
Yes, in the short run, but now it's over and out. That one, see, my view is since last 2-3 years, it was driven by public, retail, and institution with retail money. The retail has put into institution. Now everything is evened out. Slowly, option weekly, daily options will have no bearing on the market. And if you are aware or not, I don't know. There is everyday expiry in S&P every day. Okay, कुछ नहीं होता है उधर, नॉर्मल है। See, और एक बात बोलता हूँ भाई साहब, आप जो भी है, I can't read your name, but I'm telling you one thing. If you are a good trader or an investor, focus on stock, buying, selling, ये सब छोड़ दो।
Yes.
What is stock market? You buy shares and you sell shares. Rest is all noise just to attract you people and me also. So we should discard the noise and concentrate on money making, and this unnecessary seeking knowledge which is of no use, we should stop it. Don't fill your brains with unwanted information. And somebody was asking मैं क्या शेयर लूँ, ये वो 10 साल 20 साल, अरे buy good shares, no, आपने MNC and forget about it. Automatically they will grow. बोलिए भाई, sorry.
Yeah. RM Bangade.
Yes, sir. Sir, good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
सर आपने एक बार पहले बोला था कि फ्रॉम अक्टूबर 21 टू मार्च 23 18 मंथ्स का बेयर मार्केट था.
Yeah.
And then you said bull market started from March till August, September, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So if this is a bear market, is it an extension of the previous bear market or a new bear market has started? And second follow-up question would be, historically ऐसा कभी हुआ है क्या कि एक bear market के बाद 6 months का gap and then again a new bear market, or a bear market extended for say 18 months, then 6 months break and again bear market has continued? So ऐसा historically कभी हुआ है क्या ऐसा?
नहीं. So so if it becomes a bear market now, it will be part of the earlier structure.
Yes.
In an Elliott wave sense. In an Elliott wave sense, what we call this is known as an expanded flat.
Okay.
In an expanded flat, the market goes to a new high, but it may for some time look like a new bull run, but it fails. And we call it an expanded flat only if it stays within 138% of the first correction. Okay, so from 18,600 to 15,200, 138% is close to 20,000, which is why I mentioned sometime back the
Yes,
20,000
yes,
number.
yes.
That is the cutoff point for calling it an expanded flat.
But then, sir, follow-up question would be whether a bear market has lasted for so long at any time in the past. If we consider it to have started in October 21, we are in October 23. We are already in 2 years from there. So if it goes on for say, another 3 months, it will be 27, 28 months.
You want me to answer?
Yeah.
Bear markets can last for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years also.
Okay, sir.
No, because you are only referring to these 2 years.
Yes.
Before that, you look into the charts. I don't know how to read charts, but big bear markets lasting from 2 years, 3 years, 5 years was
Okay.
started in 2007,
Yes.
ended in 2014 end. So they can be of long duration.
Rohit sir
But
had said once that the 2008 bear market was for 18 months.
No,
no, no.
so RM, that is from top to bottom.
Okay,
But
sir.
I'll give you another example. Then, if you go back to the 1990s, say 1994 to 1998, the
Yes.
long periods where the markets were stuck in a same range.
Okay, sir. Okay, okay. So it is possible that it can go on for a longer time than 18 months.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And this would be
No,
extension of the previous market.
no,
Yeah.
RM
Yes, sir.
from whenever 2003 4, it went up to 6,400 in 2007. Now that 6,400 uh, came down to 2,200,
Yes.
and from 2,200 it broke past 6,400 only in 2014.
Correct.
Okay. So that
And
can go on for longer.
yeah, and a genuine advice, dear.
Yes, sir.
Don't fall for all this. Buy good stocks at low price and forget about it.
Yes, sir. Trading is also good. If you have discipline, it is very good.
No comments.
Yes, sir. And so therefore, Rohit sir, in your last in one of your long short reports, last chance to sell, you had marked it W till 15,200,
Yeah,
then an X, and then a Y down.
yeah.
So that is a possibility now.
No, that WXY is a presumption that Y ended in March 23 and maybe some new bullish phase could have started.
Okay.
But now that if we take the alternate structure, which I'm saying expanded flat, then it is not
Hmm.
WXY. Then it is 15,200 is A
A,
and 20,200 is B.
P. Okay. So
So
we are
that
C down now.
so that becomes a different
Okay, sir.
count.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So the last one here was Vivek, who seems to have dropped out. And so with that, I think we should call it a day. It's almost getting to 12 o'clock. We have extended it longer by half an hour than I had promised. So I'm sure we've answered a lot more questions. So good night to everyone. Thanks for participating.
नहीं रोहित भाई एक सवाल है
बोलिए बोलिए बोलिए
कौन सा सीरियल अच्छा है देखने के लिए
कौन सा सीरियल अच्छा है अभी तो मैं मूवी देख के आया आई वेंट एंड सॉ डम मनी which is on the GameStop speculation जो यूएस में हुआ था अभी ये मूवी देख के आया हूँ शाम को
नहीं नहीं थिएटर में बहुत महंगा पड़ता है और पीवीआर शॉर्ट है मेरा तो मैं थिएटर में जाएगा ही नहीं नो एनी सीरियल व्हिच कैन बी ऑफ इंटरेस्ट लास्ट आई सॉ वाज सुल्तान ऑफ दिल्ली
ओके
नॉट गुड
इमीडिएट ध्यान में नहीं आ रहा है
ठीक है एक बात लास्ट में बोलना है क्योंकि मैं उम्र में बड़ा हूँ रोहित भाई तुम्हारे से
श्योर बिल्कुल
प्लीज डोंट लूज योर काम ठंडा दिमाग से काम करना लॉस हो गया तो लॉस बुक करके निकल जाना
बिल्कुल
तोड़ फोड़ मत करना ये बाजार मेरे लिए भी थोड़ा सा नया है क्योंकि इट इज वेरी वायलेंट. मैंने ऐसा वायलेंट बाजार देखा नहीं है पहले. मतलब देखा है लेकिन 70-80%. ये 100% वायलेंट है. यहाँ पे आपकी नजर हटे कि दुर्घटना घटे. मेहरबानी करके एवरेजिंग कोई भी हालत में नहीं करने का.
या
इफ डीप डाउन होता है एवरेजिंग 50-60% तो चांस लेने का. 10-20% में एवरेज मत करना. पिरामिडिंग नहीं करना. बाजार का सामना नहीं करना, नहीं तो आप कुचल जाओगे. नाउ what Rohit bhai I used to say कि Indian market is always a bear market. It was never a bull market. Only action reaction. But in these 2-3 years, it has really shown that it is in a bull market. But for how long? Now it's over.
Yeah.
So sell on rise is the norm over here. दुर्घटनाएं बहुत घटती है. And another thing, on 3rd December is the election results, then the budget. So,
And
આપણે
then
event
election.
huh?
And then elections.
Yeah.
और बजट में नो इट्स अ वोट ऑन अकाउंट होएगा मोस्टली.
Yes. So, I'm saying, if you preserve your capital and your penchant for investing it at every drop of a hat, वो बंद करो यार. चुपचाप बैठो ना. हाँ, शेयर लेना है तो ले, नेस्ले ले, ऐसा कुछ ले अच्छा वाला. लेकिन वो भी क्यों? आप लोग पैसा संभालना. कुछ भी अगर आपको तकलीफ है मुझे फोन मारो. आई विल एक्सप्लेन यू. आई एम फ्री. माय व्हाट्सएप नंबर इज ऑन माय प्रोफाइल. आई विल गाइड यू. प्लीज डोंट वेंचर आउट अननेसेसरली. समझ में नहीं आता है तो दूर बैठना बाजार से. दैट्स ऑल रोहित भाई.
Yeah, sure. So thanks everyone. Thanks Sharad ji for those insights, and that's very much what I concur, that if you're in a severe bear market, they don't just stop at 20%, and which is why prepare for the worst. The right time to invest is when there is blood on the streets. So that's a different way of saying the same thing. So see you all next time. Take care. Take action. Have a plan. Don't just shoot in the dark. Don't go by old narratives and old ways of doing something. Think intelligently. And yeah, do go out and try out Strike if you have still not done so. Ensure you that it will be a very addictive platform. We are already added many tools and segments to it. Some more will go live today, tomorrow, and then over the next month. We continue. Yeah.
I read about your mentorship program.
Yes.
But how much does it cost?
So the mentorship program is currently at 1,10,000. But what it involves, and the reason for that price is, we don't do 1 day, 2 day, 3 day courses. So this is a mentorship is essentially teaching people A to Z of how to study the charts, how to analyze, and how to then take a decision of entry, exit, whether you're a trader, investor, whatever. And this teaching goes on over 3 months in live Zoom sessions, 3 hours every Sunday, plus with pre-recorded videos of the same knowledge, which is around some 50-60 videos, and assignments, which Jay, who's here, very humbly replies to everybody wherever they have made mistakes, so that they can correct and be right. And after all that, everyone ends up on a WhatsApp group so that they can interact. And after that, we meet once a year for those who have completed that entire session. In some location, we've done it twice in Goa, once in Lonavala, for 5 days and 6 nights, so that we can actually interact not just on Zoom but personally, and further perfect the science. So it's a serious learning session for those who really want to understand how to read markets, how to read charts, not for time pass, not for advisory. It's a serious learning process that we really focus on.
That's great, yeah.
Yeah.
So 1,10,000 for 3 months is almost 1,000 rupees a day, like.
Yeah, but it's once a week. So every
No, no,
Sunday we do 3 hours.
no. But you must be giving lessons and apne homework also, no?
Yes, yes, yes.
That's done cheap.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and actually, I mean, one who enrolls for mentorship, they are with us for lifetime. Then basically, they can attend. Every time we start a new batch.
Mhm.
They can attend again and again and get improved. So there are a lot of people who have now attended this year and go out for a second or third time, and now they have actually achieved a much better understanding of the entire subject. So this is how it goes. I mean,
That's great. I would have joined, but I don't understand charts and I don't want to understand at this age.
true, true, true.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Sharadji, for asking. And so, yeah, let's call it a day. Anyone interested in the mentorship can just call up our numbers, which are already posted, and do try out strike. We'll see you all next time. Thank you for joining us today. Thanks, Jay.
Jai,
Yes.
the number you have put on that Twitter is too small. I tried reading it, but my eyes couldn't. वो थोड़ा बड़ा रखो ना नंबर.
कौन सा नंबर?
फोन
अरे
नंबर वो 54 का जो है.
अच्छा.
हाँ,
अच्छा.
अच्छा रहेगा. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
In the image, I think Jay, what he means is image में बहुत छोटा डाला
हाँ.
हुआ है. I'll check it out.
समझा. We'll check with them.
Yeah. Okay.